Why does Taliban and Pakistani dictatorship keep on fighting if both are US vassals? Abhinav Singh says, if both Pakistan and Afghanistan, which is Taliban, are effectively US assets, why does Washington allow them to remain adversaries? Wouldn't it make more strategic sense for the US to broker peace between the two? A united front would seemingly give the US more control in the region and a better position to control India. Right. So why are the Taliban and the Pakistanis at loggerheads? Why are they enemies? Why do they hate each other? Why do they keep fighting? Both are American vassals. Now, how do we make the claim that the Taliban are US vassals? They're not quite US vassals, but they are on the US payroll. Look, the Americans had a long series of negotiations with the Taliban before they handed power to the Taliban in 2021. And then, after the long series of negotiations, there was the Doha Accord between the US and the Taliban. In the Doha Accord, there are secret clauses that have never been revealed to the world. So, it is alleged by very credible sources that the Americans pay the Taliban a stipend, a weekly stipend of between 50 to $100 million in cash. And that helps the Taliban to run Afghanistan and, take care of business of running the nation. And what do the US get in exchange for the money they are spending on the Taliban? Well, the deal most likely would be to keep the Chinese out of Afghanistan. The Chinese have this great ambition, this Belt and Road Initiative, one belt to rule you, one belt to rule you all, and that sort of thing, right? One ring to rule them all, something to bind them, that sort of thing. So the Chinese want to use Afghan territory to push westwards and create infrastructure through Afghan territory, roads, rail, whatever. And the Chinese want to invest in the Afghanistan copper sector, the oil and gas sector, maybe other minerals and so on. And the Afghans have never allowed this to happen ever since they came to power. So ever since the Taliban came to power, it's not happened. Nothing has happened. So maybe that's the deal. You keep the Chinese out. You don't allow China any access to Afghan territory and Afghan resources. And maybe you keep the Russians also at arm's length. In exchange for that, we will give you whatever amount of dollars we're giving in cash every week. You hold your end of the bargain, we hold our end of the bargain. That's the deal between the US and the Afghans and the Taliban. So the Taliban, from that perspective, you could say is kind of a US asset. The Pakistanis, we know, are American vassals, bootlickers, shoe shiners, right? That's what Asim Munir is. So why can't the Americans ensure that Pakistan and Afghanistan don't fight? Well, that's not in America's control. Let's understand the two perspectives. This here is Pakistan, this here is Afghanistan. Pakistan, all the Pakistani generals, RB people, etc., their bank accounts, they have secret bank accounts in the West, probably in London or whatever. And all their relatives live in the West. Some live in the US, some live in the UK, etc. So they are all actually invested in the West. Their entire family's future is in the West. All their money is in the West. And whatever they're doing in Pakistan is to extract more money and send it to the bank accounts. That's what the Pakistanis are doing. The Pakistanis. Now, name one Taliban commander who has any assets outside of Afghanistan. Name one Taliban commander who has family in the West. I assure you the number is zero. Okay? So there is no leverage the Americans have over the Afghans in that manner, that they can force the Taliban to behave in this way or that way. The Taliban are Pashtun nationalists. They hate the Pakistanis. And they want their territory back, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So the Americans are in no position to dictate to the Taliban to hug and make up with the Pakistanis. That will never happen. Okay? That's the situation. There can never be unity between the Pakistanis and the Afghans, especially as long as the Taliban is ruling. Even when you had a non-Taliban government ruling Afghanistan, the relationship was pretty chilly, pretty cold between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Afghans, the Pashtuns, regard the Pakistanis as their blood enemies, with an ancient feud that goes back to the 19th century, right? And the Pakistanis occupy Afghan territory, Pashtun territory. You're never going to have peace between the two until the territorial dispute is resolved, and it has to be resolved in such a way that the Pashtuns regain their territory, which means the map of Pakistan has to change, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has to become part of Afghanistan. That is the only long-term solution to the issue. But the Pakistanis will not allow that, right? Big territory, big resources. Why will they allow that? So that's the issue. So the Americans can't do a thing about that. They can't force the Taliban to make up with the Pakistanis. Will never happen.